Okay, hello there. Welcome back to my shop here. I had a job that come in to me here for to fix a drawer front. It's a antique drawer front here, and he would like to have this where this would be solid wood. I mean, this could be put in with epoxy, but it'd be nice to have this with solid wood. He figures, and fix this up here with solid wood up here. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to make a little video just to see how I would do this, and we'll see how this works out. Stay tuned. Okay, so I want to keep as much of the top layer here intact as much as possible here. So that's why I'm not going to just cut a block out of here all the way across and just replace it. I want to put it inside here and keep this here originally there. Okay, so here's my thoughts on this. This is a weak point. These are all movable here, so that's a very weak point there. And I can almost see it that if I were to put a router down inside here and start routing a groove against this being movable here like this, moving, it's just going to give back and forth, and it's just going to cause the router bit to just jump and split the wood right out. It's not going to have no support. It's just going to split it right out completely, and that's not what we want. So it looks like the best way to do this would be to make a jig that would allow me to clamp this here looseness here nice and tight, and once I get that nice and tight, then I can drop my router bit down inside here a little bit at a time and just take a nice groove down through here, and this here would not be deflecting back and forth, and I should be able to get a nice cut all the way down through. And so this jig is coming up next. Okay, so here's the jig that I came up with. I have a board clamped on here to sandwich the that piece there that's loose here, and a board on the other side here. By clamping those two boards together, I can put my straight edge on there, and I have my plunge router bit set up here in my plunge router. And what we'll do is ride along here like this, and that should take care of it. That's coming up next. Okay, we got this nice and straight across here. Now we want it at, and we got a nice dado in there to put in our piece of board in there. Okay, that's gonna work out good. Now that one I just did, that was the second pass. The first pass I came out here first, and then on the second pass I moved my jig in just a little bit, about 1/16 of an inch more, to be able to take off that edge right here, and that's what I just showed here, is taking off this edge right here, getting that straightened out. Alrighty, the next thing now will be to clean up the front of this right here now, and get that cleaned up. That's a break in the front, and then fit the piece of board inside there to fix that. That'll be coming up next. Okay, so now there's still a little bit more of that break from the wood here, drops down here, and there's still some more of it down through here. I don't want to go too much more deeper though, because this does get very thin on the front side here, and in fact that's where some of that break is happening here too. So what I'm going to do is, before I marry any kind of board in here, I'm going to put some glue in this crack here, and then I'm going to clamp it and let it set overnight, and that way there I'll have a nice straight edge then to work off of. Okay, there's the final glue setup right there. By putting a straight edge across here like this, that keeps this whole piece right here nice and straight. And so we have a nice straight dado here now. And once that dries, then I can start measuring and putting that piece in here and working on this front piece, getting that working. But I gotta let this dry for right now. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to take off this little tab right here. I don't want to take all this off here. I want to try to keep the integrity as much as possible here. So I'm just taking off right here to square this up. And then what I'll do is I'll clean this here edge up a little bit right through here a little bit on the edge. And then I'll fit the piece inside here and on top of here as one piece. Okay, so we got that all squared up here now. And so now I can start working on measuring the piece. I got this all flattened out here on the edge. So now I just cut a piece to fit inside here now, up through here. Glue that in, and then we'll plane that down to flush for that. Okay, putting the piece in there now is coming up next. Okay, with my table saw unplugged, I got my mark sitting right here, about where that's going to hit that line, pretty close. And I'll just set a piece of tape right here, indicate to me how far to take that board in. Now this has to be set to 9/16. So what I'll do is I will put this right here, and I'll take it and I'll cut it until I hit up this line right here. Okay, that should work good. Nice saw. Okay, so what I need to do now is I have this little bit of a gap right here between here and here, and that's the amount that I'll be taking off of here to move that in, to close that gap. And then I'll be able to cut this to the final length, and then I need to cut this to the final height as well, and then I'll be able to plane it down. Same thing here, I left this a little bit long on top of here too, to match into here later on. Okay, let's go ahead and get this here cut now and get this gap filled in. 3/16. 3/16 to a quarter. I can take a little bit more off of here and still take some off of here. It's up to you here for right now. Cut that off there for right now. Okay, so I got it clamped up and down, back and forth and everything to get everything tight where it needs to be. And I think that's going to work. Once all that glue sets, then I can start planing this down flush and then planing the top of this down flush. And then I got to do some work on the front here too. As you can see here, this here is damaged right here. It bends down. So once I get all this here glued and tight, and I get all this down to height, then I'll take a chisel and I will work this out and then put a small piece on top of there, glue on top of there to fit into there. That's probably the best way to do that. I'll just make a nice little even cut out here and just put a piece in there. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for right now until this glue sets, and I'll bring you back. Alright. The next thing to do now will be to take this down flush down to here, and take this down flush, and then cut this to size after I get that down flush, and then do some work on the front corner here to match that in a little bit better. I see how that's going down a little bit there, and so that'll be coming next. Okay, so there's the back side right there, that big long piece. And what I'm going to do here is, before I take this down any further than where it's at right now, I'm going to go ahead and start working on this front corner here and getting that piece put in there so that I can take it all down at one time then and have a better reference to work off of. And so that's what I'm going to work on next. I'm going to start working on cutting this across here and pulling out that front piece there a little bit, and mirroring a piece on the front of that now. Okay, now here's my thoughts on this. Originally I was going to just cut this here front piece out of here a little bit like this and scab a small piece on the front here. But that's not going to be very good, I don't think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my router or something, and I'm going to take all this down to this point here all the way across, but I'm going to take it all the way back across the new board as well. And that way there, then I can put just a regular 3/4, 7/8 inch piece on top of that, and that would scab in a lot better than to put a small piece in front. So that's what's going to come up next, is getting a way to get a nice cut across here now. And that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, so why I did that was I'm going to take that on my bandsaw and I'm going to get that as close as I can to that line and cut that piece out, and then I'll take it down with a chisel to get it down to where I need to have it at. Of course, I'll stop it right there. And the reason why I'm not taking these handles off is because they have them screwed into the board like this here. They're not put on with the through bolts going through. They're screwed on the front, and I don't want to disturb them if I don't have to, because they're nice and solid, so I'm not going to disturb them. Okay, let's go ahead and get this cut now. Alrighty. So now it'll be easier to put a full piece on top of here all the way across to get that. Let's see what we got here. How close are we? Yeah, that's not bad. Don't got much of a gap. So that's nice and straight. I like that. Okay, let's continue on. That was clamped so nice and tight that you can barely see the seam between the drawer front and the piece that I made for that. Barely see the seam at all. It's a good matching wood too, but what I'm happy with is the clamping must have been nice and tight to get that kind of a seam like that. Alright. Even though that seems not to be showing, but okay, let's continue on. Okay, so we'll get this here piece glued on now. Whenever I said about using a router to cut this, I wasn't sure how accurate I could be with the bandsaw doing this here, but that came out okay. I'm very happy with that. So that's why I decided to go with the bandsaw, because I think that that worked just as good. Okay, so now we'll let that glue set. Meanwhile, I'll work on the next part of the drawer. But I think that's going to work out good. And then when this here sets, I take the clamps off. We'll get that plane down, cut the size, and then this part will be done on this part of the job. Let's take a look at it here. I'm very happy with that. I think he'll be pleased with that also. Nice and solid across here now. Okay, that was a fun project to do. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.